Welcome back to the Spread Pick'em Show with Mike and Andrew. We are in week 7 here. Andrew's coming off possibly the worst week on this show. I don't know what your record was last week, but man, it was ugly. You can go ahead and defend yourself over that real quick.
No defense needed. I've taken a non-analytical approach last week. I took a non-analytical approach, and it hurt me. So now I'm back to the analytics a little more this week.
All right, looking forward to it. All right, so we'll go through last week's games as we always do. No Thursday night game. That's why we posted on a Friday. So we started with Houston and Tennessee, a game where Houston probably should have covered. They tried for that 2-point conversion to make it a 9-point game and get the win. Didn't get it. They go to overtime. Tennessee wins by 6, I believe. And Derrick Henry absolutely carried your fantasy team, so congrats on that one. Washington at the Giants. Now, my Giants get a win. They didn't cover the spread. You won that one. I took the L. Atlanta and Minnesota. Of course, the Falcons were going to come around at one point, and it happened to be last week. We both took Minnesota, took the L there. Chicago at Carolina. We both liked the Panthers a good amount, but Chicago wins that game. I feel like the Panthers should have won that game, but, they just weren't playing too well. I feel like they could have won that game, but stuff happened. Detroit at Jacksonville. I got the win there with Detroit. You took Jacksonville. I think you're off Jacksonville finally because that week 1 game, it's still in our minds, but I feel like that was so long ago at this point, so got to stop believing in Jacksonville. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. I thought this one was like the best bet of the week. You took Cleveland as a favorite bet, and I told you don't do it. You wanted to go against me. It was a bad idea. I mean, I'm the Cleveland whisperer.
I did it out of spite.
Yeah, I figured that was the case. So, yeah, Cleveland got absolutely walloped in that game. Cincinnati at Indianapolis. This was like the toughest one for me. I took the Bengals. Luckily, they covered. You took the Colts. I forget what the score was. I feel like the Colts won by like 4 or so. Baltimore at Philly. Look, your Eagles, they put up a good fight. I mean, look, the Ravens were covering for a while. Travis Fulgham catches that triple coverage touchdown. You guys almost find a way to bring that game to overtime. So the Eagles do cover. They do take the loss, though. Denver at New England. I went with Denver. They were a plus 9.5, and you took the Patriots. Cam Newton was throwing a lot of balls on the ground. He did not look good in that game, but hopefully he bounces back. The Jets at Miami. The Jets are now 0-6 against the spread. They keep it going. They get shut out against the Dolphins, who are now starting your boy, Tua Tagovailoa. How you feel about that?
Well, you know me. I absolutely love Tua Tagovailoa. I like Ryan Fitzpatrick this year. I really feel bad for the guy. His quotes, it got me wondering maybe he shouldn't be the starter this week, Tua, but nonetheless, I'm excited to see my boy.
Yeah, I figured that was the case. I kind of feel bad for him too, but I personally think it makes sense for the Dolphins. You're not going to win a Super Bowl this year. Get the young guy ready, although I do feel bad for Fitzpatrick. How could you not feel for that guy? Green Bay, Tampa Bay. I felt good about this one. This was one of my favorite bets. Green Bay, I mean, they started out up 10-0, and then after that, it was a very one-sided game. Rodgers throws a pick 6, then another pick after that, and then, the Buccaneers win by 1,000,000 points. You took the Buccaneers. Good call by you. Los Angeles Rams at the San Francisco 49ers. They were a -3, the Rams. I took the Niners. They won that game outright. You took the Rams. KC at Buffalo, one of the Monday night games. I went with KC. You went with Buffalo. 2 bad games in a row for Buffalo. We'll see if they bounce back against those big, bad Jets this week. And then Arizona at Dallas, a game that I thought would be close personally. It was like a 38-10 game. Arizona just destroyed them. And I like seeing the Cowboys suck, so I was fine with that. But, that wrapped it up. I can't do the records off the top of my head because I can't do the math here. But not a lot of L's for you, Andrew. Not good. But overall – Too many, yeah. You're 47-43-1. I'm 50-40-1. So hopefully for your sake, you get back into it this week. I mean, we differ on some games this week, so hopefully for your sake, you get back into it. So let's start with a matchup of our 2 favorite teams. I feel like we'll spend half the show on this game, but let's get into it. Giants at Eagles, Thursday Night Football. Eagles are a -4.5. I'm going to come out with a Giants, pregame video as I always do. I had the score as 20-13 Eagles, which would mean I have the Eagles covering this spread, and as do you. So tell us why we should pick the Eagles in this spot.
Well, I mean, right off the bat, this game was 3.5 earlier in the day, but now since Lane Johnson and Deshaun Jackson are actually in the Eagles lineup, if you will, it got bumped up to 4.5. It actually started at 6, so maybe Vegas is betting the Giants. People are betting the Giants a little too much, but I think that's where you draw the line. 4.5 points, that's where I go with the Eagles. If you guys did not watch Mike's live stream with the Entertainer, I recommend you guys do. It's a good watch even for an Eagles fan. But I was a little disappointed in the entertainer because he took the Giants to not only cover, but to outright win the game. Here's my argument with that. So, yeah, the Eagles are injured. There's no doubt the Eagles are injured. They get Lane Johnson back. That helps on the offensive line. They get Deshaun Jackson back. That helps, puts Travis Fulgham on the second best cornerback. Maybe he performs better. But the way I look at things is they don't have Zach Ertz and they don't have Miles Sanders. They also didn't have Zach Ertz or Miles Sanders in the fourth quarter of that Ravens game, and they put up 22 points in that fourth quarter alone. That tells me that maybe Carson Wentz is going to be a little bit, more prepared this time with a unachieved team per se. They've played the Steelers and the Ravens in back-to-back weeks, put up 57 points. It's the first and second best defense in the league. Don't think the Giants will pose as much of a threat, although they are a good defense. So I honestly think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to demolish this spread.
Okay.
But it's not my favorite bet.
Okay, fair enough. I think the Giants, have a chance to win this game. I'm not saying, there's a lot of games on the schedule this year where I said the Giants probably have no chance to win, although I'm probably not going to say it. But this is a game I think the Giants would actually have a chance to win because the Eagles, as you said, have so many injuries. I think 9 out of their 11 starters, are supposed to be out for this game on offense. I know they get Jackson back, who's been a giant killer. I saw a tweet today from one of my favorite followers, Will, on Twitter. He said, other than Deshaun Jackson, or other than Dave Gettleman, Deshaun Jackson's been the biggest Giants killer over the past decade. I think that made a lot of sense. And it was pretty funny. So that was a very A+ tweet by him. But my problem here is that the Eagles, they still have their good defensive line, Barnett. They still have Fletcher Cox. They still have Brandon Graham, still getting to the quarterback. The Giants' offensive line, as we know, not the most consistent offensive line. And Daniel Jones, while he's looked all right at some points, has struggled mightily at some points as well, and still has his 1 or 2 turnovers per game. So I think this is a game where the Giants would have to win the turnover battle. Now, I know your quarterback has basically had the most turnovers in the league this year, maybe outside of Kirk Cousins, but Daniel Jones is not good at that either. So there's a problem. And I think that's, overall talent-wise, Carson Wentz is still the better quarterback. The weapons are, I don't know who has the better weapons right now. I feel like the Eagles aren't that bad because Boston Scott killed us last year in 2 games. Greg Ward gets open. He's all right. And then Fulgham's like this up-and-coming potential star maybe. I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself, but we'll see. But hopefully Bradbury does a good job on him. But I still feel like the Eagles can move the ball in this game. I just don't trust the Giants offense. Once again, they had a defensive touchdown last week. They only scored 20 points. That would have been a 13-point game offensively. I don't trust the Giants to score points. And the Eagles defense, while I don't think it's great, I think their linebackers suck. Their secondary has a couple good pieces, but their defensive line is still good enough to win this game, in my opinion. So that's my final thoughts. I have the Eagles covering here. Anything else you want to add about this game before we move on?
I think Deshaun Jackson actually playing, I don't know how much of an impact he's going to have because he's going to be on Bradbury. But just the fact that he takes Bradbury off of a guy like Fulgham, I think that's important because now Fulgham's on a secondary cornerback instead of the main guy. I just think Daniel Jones has struggled this year when he has hands in his face and he tries to do too much at times. I think that's exactly what the Eagles are going to be able to do. I feel like they're going to get the hands in Daniel Jones's face and hopefully force him to make a mistake.
Now you got me thinking. I don't know if I'm going to have Bradbury on Deshaun Jackson or Fulgham. I don't know what I want. I don't know if I trust this Ryan Lewis guy on Jackson because that's a big play waiting to happen. I really don't know. So I'm kind of interested to see now what happens with that. But we talked about enough, about this game. So we both take the Eagles there. Hopefully I'm wrong, though. I will gladly take the L on this game if we get a win. Next, for the Sunday games, Green Bay at Houston. Green Bay is a -3.5 coming off that very embarrassing loss. Houston brought a good Titans team to overtime last week. We both go with Green Bay here. I feel like it's a great bounce back spot. Aaron Jones is probably going to have 150 rushing yards because Houston, they can't tackle anybody in the run game. So we both like the Packers here.
Yeah, a great bounce back spot against a team that didn't play that good of a defense in the Titans last week and still ended up losing the game. So you saw all those points on the board for Houston last week, but they still ended up losing, which means is another loss of confidence. Green Bay doesn't have a big gain of confidence from last week either. They don't have any whatsoever. But I think that was a game planning issue. I don't think there's anything wrong with Aaron Rodgers. As much as I said in the past that he is regressing, that was obviously not the case this year, even if you want to go back to last game or whatever. But this is a great bounce back spot, as you said, against the Houston Texans team, who's already faced so many great defenses and great teams so far this year. And the Green Bay Packers are just another team to add to the list. So I feel pretty comfortable about the Green Bay Packers here.
Yeah, well, I feel like both teams will put up some points offensively. I mean, I just don't trust the Texans defense as much as I trust the Packers. The Packers run defense is not that great either. I have to admit, these are probably like some of the bottom five run defenses in the league. But we're talking about David Johnson compared to Aaron Jones. It's a better offensive line for the Green Bay Packers as well. They should control the clock more, and I think, still have the better quarterback. I love Deshaun Watson as much as anybody, but still, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is next level in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I will say that the Packers probably cover this. I think it's a very good bounce back spot for them. I figured this would be more of like a 5-point spread. I was kind of surprised to see 3.5, but maybe they want us to, pick Green Bay for some reason. I really don't know. It could be tricky, but I think they'll put up a lot of points here. And, Green Bay now is a shutdown corner, honestly. Jair Alexander's been great this year. They can, shut down Will Fuller or Brandon Cooks. Pick, either one, probably Will Fuller. So take him out of the game, and then you force a guy like Cooks to beat you. So we'll see if they can do that. I really don't trust them too much. I will say, though, the Texans have played better since Bill O'Brien's been fired, and they had that win against who was it? Who did they play? Was it the Vikings they beat, maybe? Or no? Might have been the Vikings, right? No?
Yeah.
Jacksonville? I forget who it was, honestly. It was some crappy team, but they
It
get
was
a win
Jacksonville,
against
right?
Jacksonville. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, I think it was Jacksonville, actually. So they get that win. They go to overtime, but at the same time, I think the Packers, they bounce back here. They're the better team, in my opinion, so we both will go with Green Bay there. Next is a game we disagree on. The Detroit Lions, they are at the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons coming off their first win. I think are they coming off a bye? No, they played against Jacksonville. They beat them. So, Detroit coming off a win. Atlanta coming off a win. Atlanta's a -2.5 here at home. I like the Lions. You like the Falcons. Tell us why.
Well, I've picked the Falcons, I think, 3 times this season, or if you're counting this one, 2 times other than this situation, and they've lost it for me twice with blown leads. I mean, that's just been the way the Falcons have been rolling every time. I picked them. Maybe that's a good thing since we have a friend that's a Falcons fan. Maybe the more I keep picking them, the more leads they keep blowing. But yeah, I am going to go with the Falcons here. I really liked what I saw offensively from them. Getting Julio Jones involved, I think, was a huge thing for them last week. And I think he's healthy again. He's fully healthy. Those last few games before the Vikings game, he was hurt. But then he came back and he showed, no loss of strength whatsoever. He was back. He was great. The Matt Ryan and Julio Jones connection is fantastic. Now going into this game, Detroit, their secondary has been surprisingly decent this year, but it's still not all that great. And now you have to put your number one corner on Julio and leave Calvin Ridley wide open. And he's been one of the better receivers so far this season. I don't trust the Falcons defense whatsoever. I'm not basing it off of that. And Detroit has looked good, but I am going to go with Atlanta here. The one thing that does worry me a little bit is Matt Ryan and Julio Jones being in the trade talk. In that news kind of worries me. Maybe they're a little shaken up by that. Not shaken up, but maybe they're a little, less confident in their coaches or their GM or whatever you want to call it. It's a little concerning for me, but hey, Dan Quinn gone, Atlanta Falcons back on top. I like it.
I just realized I forgot to put this in the gallery view like that the whole time, so my fault on that, but we got to put it earlier in the show. But anyway, I am going to go with Detroit. The thing I look at is I think defensively, Detroit might be a little better, but offensively, I think these teams are pretty even. I might be stupid to say that, but I've always liked Detroit's offense. I'm a big Stafford guy. I think him and Matt Ryan are pretty close. Now, of course, Matt Ryan looks a lot better when Julio Jones is back. And I think Detroit maybe last week had some secondary injuries. We'll see who they get back. It would be nice if Jeff Okudah was there and Desmond Trufant. I'm personally not sure if they're going to play, but I trust them offensively enough to put up points on this Falcons team. And look, I had Detroit as like a 7-win team coming into the year. I think I had the Falcons at 7 or 8 as well. So I have faith in both of these teams. Of course, it hasn't gone the way I wanted it to. But I just think Detroit against a bad Falcons defense can put up points here. And I feel like when it comes to turnovers, I think Matt Ryan is more turnover prone than Matt Stafford is. I mean, that could be the opposite, of course, but we'll see. But yeah, I think DeAndre Swift's a guy who started playing well. I hope they play him more because I'm tired of seeing the corpse of Adrian Peterson play every week. So he can add some juice to that running game. But yeah, I think big games for, Kenny Galladay, TJ Hawkinson, guys like that. I think it'll be a nice, fun offensive game. I think the over-under was like 63, so a very high-scoring game. But yeah, I think it'll be a very high-scoring affair. It'll be a fun game, but I see Detroit pulling this one out. So hopefully the Lions find a way to win there. Next is the Dallas Cowboys. Wow, they stunk. They're at the Washington football team, another bad team. Washington's actually favored by 1 point. So both teams coming off a loss. One looked worse than the other. Washington was 2 yards away from a victory, as we know. But the Cowboys, they have their issues right now. I mean, they have no defense, as we know. Andy Dalton had no time. Andy Dalton didn't look good. Michael Gallup was dropping touchdowns. Zeke was fumbling the ball twice. I mean, a lot of problems here. We both like the Cowboys, though, in this spot.
Yeah, I think it's a little premature to say that the Dallas Cowboys are going to stick with Andy Dalton. Let's be honest, it's the first time he stepped on a field in probably over a year and a half in a starting role, that is. I did see a meme on Twitter about Kyler Murray being 44-0 against high school teams in Texas. I thought that was pretty funny. But, I mean, let's be honest here. Are we really prepared to say that Dallas is worse than Washington? Maybe we are. But if Kyle Allen keeps throwing away games the way he's been doing lately, I don't know if the Cowboys' defense is going to look all that bad. Now, they're still going to be, terrible, and I think it's important for Washington to take the ball out of Kyle Allen's hands and put it in their hands of their running back this game. But I still want Dallas here. I'm going to go with Dallas. And look, if Washington wins this game, I might not pick Dallas for the rest of the year because, again, who really is worse than Washington in the NFL besides the Jets? And I don't think the Dallas Cowboys played the Jets at all this year. So it's crazy to me that if the Washington football team wins one more game, they're in first place in the division while still being in contention to get the first overall draft pick. That just completely amazes me. Shows how bad the division is, but I'm not prepared to take Washington over Dallas just yet.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I think Kyle Allen did a lot to lose them that game on Sunday, and I think the same could happen here. I know Dallas's defense is not good. I get it completely, but how often is Zeke going to fumble twice in the game? I mean, how often is Michael Gallup going to drop a touchdown? I feel like that was kind of an anomaly, and the fact that it happened on national TV and a lot of people were watching, I feel like that can skew the number a bit. So I think Dallas is a pretty good bet here. Not my favorite bet, but I would be pretty confident the Cowboys could win this game. Could I be a fool for saying that? Sure, because the Cowboys have a lot of offensive line injuries and issues. I forget Zach Martin's injury. It might have been in concussion, so hopefully they get their right guard back. That would be nice. But at the same time, Washington has that good pass rush, and if they get in Andy Dalton's face all game, they can throw him off, maybe force some turnovers. But then Kyle Allen on the other side, he likes his turnovers as well. So I'm really not sure where to go with this, but I trust the Cowboys roster a lot more. I think Washington has a better coach, which definitely helps. I think Mike McCarthy's trash, and he's proving it once again. But I think Zeke has a nice game here. They should give him the ball a lot. Hopefully their play action works this time in a game where they actually are playing a neutral game script and the play action could work. So I think on the other side, though, Terry McLaurin might have a big game here. I mean, J.D. McKissick was all right. So, I think there will be points scored in this game, but I see it as like a 24-20 Dallas win. Wouldn't be shocked if Washington won this game because they definitely could. I mean, hell, they're favored. But at the same time, I just feel like the Cowboys are too different talent-wise to lose this game. So I'm going to pick the Cowboys. I could be wrong about it, but hopefully we are right. Andy Dalton can't be that bad. Andy Dalton, while he's never been a star, was never this bad. So, hopefully he finds a way to actually win this game.
And I think one thing we failed to mention here is what about this turmoil that's going on in the Cowboys locker room with these coaches? Yeah. I mean, these players, that could affect the game tremendously, which honestly, if I'm Vegas right here, I'm probably factoring that in. If the players aren't confident in the coaches, that means the coaches aren't confident in the players. What's really happening there? Still not enough for me to take Washington. I know you give me all that. Still not enough, but yeah, that is something to think about.
Yeah, it'll either get the players to be motivated and play better, or it gets them to play worse. I don't see it staying the same over that, but that is an interesting note that you brought up right there. But I think they'll bounce back. Look, I had confidence in Dallas coming into the year. I still think despite some of the injuries they've had, Dak being one of them, and then they lost who was it? The Gerald McCoy as well. They lost some other guys. So, yeah, they've lost some people this year, but I think they're just too talented to be this bad. So we'll see. I still think your Eagles, though, honestly, we're a little off topic now, but I think your Eagles are probably going to win this division. As bad as, this division is, I just think you guys have the best chance. I think
they really should at this point.
You probably have the best quarterback in this division. You can get to the quarterback defensively. So, and we'll talk about this in the future, but I like the Eagles' chances right now. I don't know what the odds are, who the favorite is, but I do like the Eagles personally. Buffalo, they traveled to the Jets, the 0-6 against the spread Jets. 13.5 for Buffalo on the road. Look, every week, the last 2 weeks I've said to myself, do I take the Jets here? Does it make logical sense? But once again, they just showed nothing to me that I should pick the Jets. So we're just both going to pick Buffalo until the Jets finally cover a spread here, or even show a sign of life.
Yeah, I've created a self-rule that I'm not going to pick the Jets until they prove me wrong. And so far, you're completely right. They have not proved any of us wrong or any of us right because I've picked the Jets many times. But Buffalo is the way I'm going here. Bills Mafia all the way. It's just like the Jets just stink. I mean, what could you possibly go off of right now that would give you the Jets to pick in this even 13.5-point spread? I mean, look, Buffalo struggled the last few games, but this is the game where Sean McDermott looks at the schedule. Guys, we've struggled. Okay, but we're playing the Jets this week. I mean, come on. Like, this is just a gimme almost. This is one of my favorite bets of the week. I'm actually going to make that on the spot. I actually didn't have this down as a favorite bet, but now the more that I'm talking about it, might as well just make it a favorite bet. If it's against the Jets, you might as well. Maybe every favorite bet from now on is going to be against the Jets. But it's just there's nothing to go off of right now with confidence, especially now that I'm behind you in the record-wise for these spreads. I can't be losing games to you. I have to, like, go along with you. There's just nothing I could do right now to pick the Jets. No confidence whatsoever. Not very analytical, but yet why does it need to be when you're picking someone over the Jets?
Yeah, you don't need to be analytical here, but I do miss
Yeah.
the days on this show when you did pick the Jets with some confidence. I wish we can get back to that, but I
I don't
think
know
you
what you're
know by
talking about.
now how bad they are. Honestly, though, some good news for the Jets is that they might get Denzel Mims back, their second-round receiver. They get Sam Darnold back. Maybe they cover the spread somehow, but look, I think based on how the Bills have played the past 2 weeks, like if the Bills were undefeated and 6-0, I can see this as a game where like they kind of look ahead and don't really they kind of play down to the Jets. But them coming off 2 bad losses in a row, I think they kind of just unleash hell on the Jets and give them all they can handle. This might be a game where the Jets could backdoor because I feel like the Bills might get up a lot by halftime and it might be like 31-7 at halftime. Maybe the Jets find a way to backdoor this thing late, but I still don't trust them either way. So I'm gonna go with the Bills. The Jets just have no offense. They have no Le'Veon Bell now. And really outside of Jamison Crowder getting 15 targets a game, really no
Yeah.
offense for that team. And now Frank Gore's in there, P. Ryan, but still they don't have much of an offensive line. I don't know if Becton's back. I probably should have looked into that one. But still, regardless, I'm going to go with the Bills. They're in a good bounce back spot here. 2 bad showings in a row. I think they get on track here against the Jets. Next is the Cleveland Browns. They're on to the Cincinnati Bengals. Cleveland is a -3 on the road. We differ here. I figured you would go with the Browns too, but you're going to pick the Bengals here.
Yeah, I'm looking at Joe Burrow right now, and I'm thinking to myself, man, he proved me wrong. He was not rattled at all in that Colts game. I mean, the defense really lost in that game. He does need some help offensively. I think the key is try and get AJ Green more involved in any way you possibly can. He targets him a lot, but he's just not coming down with balls when Joe Burrow is throwing it his way. Decent game last game, not the worst against the Colts, but would like to see him do better, and I think he's going to do better against Cleveland. Cleveland does not have a fantastic defense. Their secondary, decent. Their defensive line, kind of underperforming this year. I haven't really seen the pressure that I would like to see from the Browns' defensive line. I'm going to go with Cincinnati. Now, this is a little bit of a low spread. For a team like Cincinnati to cover 3 points, lose by 2, lose by 1, or even to possibly win the game, it is a little questionable. But when you're playing the Cleveland Browns, let's face it, even at this point where they're not as bad as they used to be, we all know that, they are still one of the more unpredictable teams in the NFL, and that comes down to Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has been one of the most inconsistent quarterbacks since he was really drafted. Started off bad, ended good, then started off last season bad, kind of ended good again, then started this season good. Now it's kind of good again and then bad. It's really just inconsistent for me. I did choose the Cleveland last week, and it just seems like whenever there's pressure on Baker to make a big throw, he just can't make the big throw. And maybe that's what it comes down to here, because I think Cincinnati will keep it close, but I am going to go with Cincinnati.
Oh, they're predictable, all right. Let me tell you about Cleveland
Hey.
real quick. Hey. I think when they play a team that doesn't have a good pass rush and they're favored, that's the best time to pick the Browns. Now, is Baker Mayfield healthy? I don't know. He sure as hell didn't look it on Sunday, but if he is and looking a little better, I think they'll be all right. And even Case Keenum, if he starts, I'm fine with him too. So maybe that's why the line's only 3. It could be more, honestly. Maybe that's why I'm not sure about the health of Baker Mayfield. If they're playing a defensive line that can't get to the quarterback, which the Bengals have proved they really can't do too well, I think as long as you give the quarterback time, whether it's Mayfield or Keenum, they're going to find a way to cover this number because they have that great run game. I know it's now, who is it? Dearness Johnson maybe, and then Kareem Hunt.
Yep.
Still doesn't matter. I mean, Nick Chubb would have been nice, but still, it doesn't matter. This team has a good offensive line, and the Bengals, you can beat them via the ground game, even the air attack as well. These guys played in week, I think it was 2 or 3 maybe, and Cleveland won that game by, I forget how many points, but the Bengals had a last-second cover with the spread, I remember. They handled that game pretty well. They killed them on the ground in that game. So I didn't see the Bengals improve that much since then. And you talked about A.J. Green. He had like 11 targets last game. I noticed they started running shorter routes with A.J. Green. They stopped going downfield to him as much. It's definitely helping him more, so maybe they get him more involved. But, yeah, I'm kind of scared of the Bengals' weapons, of course. They have good guys to throw to. But the Browns, you talked about them underperforming defensive line-wise. They've had their games. I know the Cowboys game, they got in the backfield a lot, but they have had games where they've underperformed. But I think based on how bad the Bengals' offensive line has played, this is a good spot for Cleveland's defensive line to put up a good showing here. So based on them being favorites and being able to run on Cincinnati and probably get to Joe Burrow, I'm going to pick Cleveland here, and hopefully I'm right about it, but we'll see. Next, we are on to Carolina at New Orleans. New Orleans is a -7.5 coming off the bye. The Panthers coming off that 16-23 loss at home, I believe, against Chicago. You like the Panthers, and I like the Saints, so tell us why we should pick the Panthers.
Actually looking at this on paper, totally forgot that Ted Bridgewater is going to be back in New Orleans for this game. Just noticed that right now. But Teddy Bridgewater is a game manager. He keeps you in games. And really, anytime the spread against Teddy Bridgewater is 7 or 8 points, I'm most likely going to go with the Panthers just for that reason. He doesn't lose you games. He keeps you in the game. So just based off of that right away, that's what sparked, the Carolina Panthers for me. But one thing, I'm not too sure. They do get Christian McCaffrey back this week, correct?
No, they don't. I think Mike Davis is still there.
Of course, Mike Davis is there for your damn fantasy team.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, honestly, that doesn't really make a big impact for me, if I'm getting completely honest. Maybe Christian McCaffrey's better in the passing game because he's got more speed, but Mike Davis gets open a lot. I mean, he's always open in the passing game. He finds the holes, and let's face it, Drew Brees has not been that good this year. And I know Carolina could be better secondary-wise, but I don't know. I just don't think Drew Brees can pass down the field anymore. He just can't throw over 20, 25 yards. It doesn't seem like he's trying to go that deep anymore. And I think that's exactly where you need to attack the Panthers if you're trying to beat them. Beat them with the deep threats, but I don't think Drew Brees can do that. And again, 7 or 8 points, if you're getting that and you're the Carolina Panthers and Teddy Bridgewater is your quarterback, he is a game manager. Every time I'm going to go with Teddy Bridgewater to keep you in that range.
Yeah, no, I can't blame you for that for sure. I've definitely taken a deep dive into the Saints because my next NFL topic video is about, do you play Jameis Winston at some point this year? And I looked into Drew Brees a lot this year, looked at basically all his throws. I think, honestly, Drew Brees has played pretty well. I think he's done about everything he possibly could. Now, there are times, and I'll include this in the video, where he could have taken deep shots but doesn't do it. And I don't know if because he doesn't trust his arm, he doesn't want to have turnovers and things like that. But there were some opportunities where he could have taken deep shots. So I get what you say about that. But at the same time, I feel like he's doing about as well as a pocket passer could in today's NFL. So I will give Drew Brees some credit. But I do love the revenge game factor with Teddy Bridgewater. I actually forgot about that, honestly, and they're in New Orleans. So that's pretty cool. But the Saints coming off a bye, I mean, I don't know what Sean Payton's record is coming off a bye, but it has to be pretty damn good. They probably scouted that game against Chicago and when they played the Panthers last week. And honestly, if they lost by 7 to the Chicago Bears, who I think are a worse team than the Saints, then I think the Saints at home can probably handle this Panther team. I think the Panthers have been a nice story. I like Matt Rule so far. He's proved to be a pretty good head coach. But I feel like the Saints coming off the bye and getting healthy and things like that, Michael Thomas hopefully isn't throwing hands in practice and he'll be playing. Hopefully he'll be out there for this game. So I think the Saints win this game. Now, of course, I could see once again, like a backdoor cover type thing with the Panthers getting like a last-minute drive in there. Hopefully some Mike Davis catches in there, But, I could see that happening. But I think the Saints will have control of this game for the most part. Probably a monstrous Alvin Kamara game in this one. He'll probably have like 10 catches, 80 yards, a couple touchdowns as well. So we'll see. But I do like the Saints, especially coming off the bye here. Next is a pretty fun game. The Pittsburgh Steelers, 2 undefeateds, I believe. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee's a -1. We both like the Steelers, though. So why is that?
I've been high on the Titans all year long, but I think this is where the road ends for them. I don't know how confident I feel against Ryan Tannehill necessarily against a better defense in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have actually underperformed. I think I'm going to bring it up again. I think them letting up 29 points to the Eagles, I think that's a problem. Like, if you're going to let up 29 points to the Eagles with a decent run game, what are you going to do against a team that has their number one wide receiver, that probably has Deontay Johnson back this week, and they have James Conner, they have Derrick Henry. I don't know what I just said. Derrick Henry. Oh, yeah,
okay.
sorry.
No, you're talking about the Steelers.
On.
James Conner. You're right.
Yeah. James Conner. I don't like the Titans defense that much. I really don't. I don't like the way they played last week against the Texans. Too many deep throws. Way too many deep throws down the field that they let up to Deshaun Watson. So, yeah, I'm confident in the Pittsburgh Steelers to outright win this one. That's what they're going to have to do unless they tie to get me my win here. But I do have concerns with the offense again with Tennessee. Derrick Henry, that's a problem for Pittsburgh. Like, that's a big problem. But again, I haven't seen Ryan Tannehill play, great football against some great defenses. So I guess that's a test for him this week. But I feel pretty confident with the Steelers here.
The thing I'm kind of curious about this game is there's two big injuries for each team here. So Taylor Lewan, the left tackle for Tennessee, tore his ACL. He's out. And I think the linebacker, Devin Bush, for the Steelers, I don't know if it was an ACL injury, right? ACL as well. So
it might be I think it was a Yeah.
Right, so it's a season-ending injury. I know that. So we'll see how those teams react to it. Not having Bush can definitely hurt them, stopping Derrick Henry in the run game. But not having Lewan, I think, would be the bigger hit. I feel like once Lewan came out, I think Tannehill got strip sacked the next play for the guy who replaced him. So it's definitely a big downgrade there. I feel like the bigger beneficiary will be the Steelers' defensive line attacking the backup left tackle as compared to Derrick Henry attacking one linebacker on the Steelers. So I think the Steelers have the advantage there. I've loved the way the Steelers play this year. You talked about getting Deontay Johnson back as long as he can make it through a full game, hopefully. I think he's a big piece of that team. And Chase Claypool, once again, had a pretty nice game. It wasn't as great as the Eagles one, but still had a nice game last Sunday. So he'll be a big piece of this offense once again. And as you said, the Tennessee defense, while it looks pretty good on paper, just hasn't looked right so far. And Deshaun Watson was taking a lot of deep shots, and Will Fuller got behind the defense. I think Brandon Cooks had a nice game as well. Hell, Randall Cobb caught a touchdown. So, if they can do that, I feel like the Steelers' offense can do good things as well. And Ben Roethlisberger has not looked fantastic this year, but he's been a really good game manager, in my opinion. They're not asking him to make a crazy amount of throws here and do what he used to do. But at the same time, if they can control the clock with the run game with James Conner, I feel like the Steelers can have not a comfortable lead, but just stay ahead in this game. Don't beat yourselves that type of way, and just hopefully lean on James Conner enough where you can just run the clock out, win this game by 3 or 4 points, take this one, and hopefully they find a way to win. So we're both in the go with Pittsburgh there. Hell, look, Tennessee could win this game. They are a favorite. We both realize that. Yeah. And as you said, Tannehill has not really beaten a great defense yet. I think back to last year's playoffs, but even then it was a lot of Derrick Henry. Like the Baltimore game, the Patriots game, he threw the ball 12 times, maybe less. So I don't think we've seen him beat a great defense yet. If I'm forgetting one, then I apologize, but I really don't. Who did he beat last week? The Texans that are not great. So it's I don't know. We'll see it, but hopefully Tannehill, for his sake, and prove us wrong. But we're both going to go with the Steelers there. Next is the Seattle
Bills.
Seahawks at the – well, I'm sorry, what?
The Bills. Right? Did he play?
Did.
He beat the Bills.
They did. Yeah. You're right. Well, the Bills, they've kind of.
I like Steelers a lot better. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I'll give them that one. The Bills are all right. We'll give them that. Seattle, they're at Arizona. Seattle's a -3.5. I think Seattle's coming off the bye. I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah. Seattle's coming off a bye. Arizona coming off the Monday Nighters, so some short rest. We both usually love Arizona. We pick them a lot, but we both like Seattle here at -3.5.
Yeah, 4.5, 5.5. I think that's where I go. Arizona, they're very good in divisional matchups, so I expect them to play very well against the Seattle Seahawks here. But I'm just going to put the ball in MVP Russell Wilson's hands, and he's just going to do it for me. He's proven himself. He's going to do it. He's done it before. I think he's going to do it again. And let's face it, Arizona's been kind of inconsistent. They had that big win against the Cowboys, but then here and there they had those two little losses that outright losses against the Lions. I'm forgetting a team as well, but
Panthers.
They've struggled against good teams with great quarterbacks and that can manage the game. And I think Russell Wilson is just that. He could take control of the game. He can manage the game. Well, what can Russell Wilson really not do? He's proven he's the best quarterback in the NFL. I think he's better than Mahomes at this point. I heard your brother say that Matt Ryan is better than him, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. Yeah,
Man.
I mean, how could you not choose Russell Wilson in this game? He's just been absolute money all year long. He's DK Metcalf. Who's going to guard DK Metcalf down the field? I don't really know. If I'm going to be honest, who's going to guard him?
I mean,
I have
Byron
no
Murphy
clue.
looked good, but they have
Who was
Tyler
the
Lockett
guy?
too.
Who was the guy that had the pass interference call that never got called when he tackled?
Dre Kirkpatrick. I wanted the Giants to
Yeah,
get him,
yeah,
actually.
and then Patrick Peterson commented like the laughing emoji or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Russell Wilson is who I want in this game, and 3.5 is a great number for me. I think the Seahawks can win this game by 4, but Arizona, they wouldn't surprise me if Cliff Kingsbury, cooks something up. A bad defense in Seattle, but I'm pretty confident with this one.
Yeah, it should be a fun game. I mean, hopefully for our sake, it'll be high scoring. But honestly, I feel like this could be a low scoring game. Like maybe like a 17-14 type game, which would be kind of crazy. But honestly, you never know with these divisional matchups. But once again, kind of like the Saints game, I love the fact that the Seahawks are coming off the bye. I trust Pete Carroll as a coach. I mean, look, sometimes he's not the best coach, but for the most part, he gets his guys to play at a very high level. And how can you bet against Russell Wilson? I feel like the Seahawks have been great against the spread this year. It's only 3.5, and I mean, we're talking about short rest once again for the Cardinals. They've had a lot of time to prepare for this game, and I mean, the Cardinals have been all right defensively this year. It hasn't been great. They've definitely been beatable at some points, but once again, as you mentioned, I don't really trust the cornerbacks of this team. Patrick Peterson is not the guy he used to be. Murphy looked great on Monday night. He's been all right this year, but still, I don't really trust Kirkpatrick too much either. There's a lot of guys to cover on this team, so I think Seattle will have their way in some areas, and Chris Carson, don't forget about him as well. So I think Seattle offensively should be good enough. Now, I don't want to pick against Kyler Murray. I love the guy, but at the same time, this is an instance where he's been making some mistakes this year. I have to admit that he had a 3-interception game just a few weeks ago. I think he played he did miss some throws against the Cowboys. I mean, he was like 9 for 22. I mean, imagine completing 9 passes and putting up 38 points on offense, but at the same time, he had some very high-end throws and very low-end throws where it was terrible. So if they get a more consistent Kyler Murray, I could see it happening, but I think Russell Wilson, I can't pick against him, so I think we're both going to go with Seattle for that one, but hopefully it'll be a fun game. And next we have the Chiefs. They are at the Denver Broncos. The Chiefs on the road are a -9.5. The Broncos coming off that win at New England. The Chiefs coming off who they beat? They beat the Bills, right, on Monday. Right?
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah. They beat, that was a pretty nice win for them. So we both went with the Chiefs here. Tell us why you like them against Denver.
This surprisingly was a little bit of a tough pick for me because I love Drew Lock. I know you love Drew Lock as well. Rough game for Drew Lock. He did not look good at all against the Patriots. Now, it is the Patriots. I'll give him that. And he was missing some pieces there offensively. But when you're going, you're at home here. But when you're going and you're facing Andy Reid and the defending world champions, I get it. It's a divisional matchup. It could be close for that reason only. But it's Patrick Dan Mahomes and it's Andy Reid. I mean, they're going to game plan with a lot of strength, and especially considering that you just came off of probably the worst week that you've had so far this season. Maybe beating the Jets by only 3 is worse than that, even though it's a win. But I don't feel comfortable picking Denver after that. Even though they won that game, it was bad play by New England. It wasn't really good play on their part. I mean, they almost handed the game right back to New England when they had no momentum whatsoever. I mean, that was literally what it was. Drew Lock gave them the momentum in the end. But Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid is all I really need to say for this one. 9.5, you don't think the Kansas City Chiefs could beat the Broncos by 10? I really think they could. So, yeah, I'm going to put the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands, and I'm going to ride him to victory.
Yep, don't blame you. Actually, we just talked about Kyler Murray making some throws in the dirt. I mean, Cam Newton was doing the same thing. He had some very inaccurate throws in that game. So I think that was a game the Patriots definitely should have won, and they probably would win that game 9 times out of 10, but they got, unlucky. And it really came down to Brandon McManus hitting 5 long-ass field goals. So, is that really going to happen again? You're not going to beat a team like the Chiefs with just field goals. You have to get in the end zone. So I don't know if I trust the Broncos offense to do that. I think the first half, maybe Drew Lock made some nice plays, but then in the end, especially the fourth quarter, straight up was throwing that game away. And of course, the Patriots could not capitalize on it. But at the same time, this is now a Chiefs offense that they're coming off a game where they had the most rushing attempts for an Andy Reid team, I think, for the Chiefs. I don't know if it was Andy Reid all time as a coach or just for the Chiefs. I know it's for the Chiefs at least, maybe all time. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire was great. Now they get Le'Veon Bell. Think of how much better this run game can be. I'm kind of excited to see how they use him and things like that. So hopefully they give Clyde the more carries. I feel like he deserves it. But Bell can be like a slot receiver type even. He can do a lot of great things for this offense. So that'll be fun to see how he's implemented. And honestly, when you're 9.5-point favorites, it's a good idea to kind of mess around that game, which could be concerning for the spread. But at the same time, I don't really fear the Chiefs losing this game. Now, of course, the Broncos, they do have some impressive wins sometimes. I just don't see this as the spot for them. I mean, they have a lot of injuries this year, especially defensively. So I think they won't be able to stop the Chiefs. And I think they kind of played above what they should have last week at New England, which probably gave them a better number than they should have got. So I do like the Chiefs here. I mean, I have no reason to pick against them. I'm going to, as I said, ride with Mahomes, and I think they win this game pretty comfortably. Next, we have Jacksonville, the Jaguars. They go to the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are a -7.5. The Chargers are coming off a bye, I believe, and Jacksonville's coming off a home loss, I think it was, against Detroit. And we both like the Chargers here.
Yeah, I do like the Chargers. Anytime, I mean, look at Justin Herbert, man. I mean, Justin Herbert has been fantastic, and it's just another game for him to shine. I'm a little mad because, again, he is on your brother's fantasy teams, and he is a gunslinger. He puts up a lot of yards, and he scores a lot of touchdowns. Little concerned sometimes with his throws. Sometimes they're a little almost Daniel Jonesy, if you will, trying to do too much. You could say the same about Carson Wentz. I'll take it back. But, yeah, I see it a lot with Justin Herbert. It is a little concerning. Obviously less concerning when you're facing the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. But 7.5 points against the team that's struggled lately, even against defenses that haven't been so good. And the Chargers, even though I thought they would have played better than they have on defense, they've still played very well. I mean, against Patrick Mahomes in that Chiefs game, they played fantastic. I think that was due to the fact that the Chiefs almost lost that game was because they really didn't game plan for Justin Herbert. But whatever. I think the Chargers, 7.5 points against the Jacksonville Jaguars defense like this, I trust them to score a lot of points in this game and hold the Jacksonville Jaguars to not too many.
I agree with you. The main things to look out for, honestly, and we will know this after the recording, but I think Mike Williams, the receiver, and Keenan Allen are both questionable. So if they both end up not playing, I probably would have taken Jacksonville, but we don't know. But I think they're both going to play, so we'll see. But I think this is a spot where the Chargers offense should put up a lot of points. I don't trust Jacksonville's defense whatsoever. Justin Herbert showed the ability to extend plays, make some throws on the run. And as you said, sometimes he's a bit risky, but I love the upside of a guy like Justin Herbert. He can single-handedly win you games and make a lot of high-end plays that can win you games. And sometimes he'll make a bad throw. We get it. But for the most part, he'll do more good than bad. So I like the way he's been playing this year. Very young defense for that Jacksonville team. And their offense, while it's okay, has been kind of shaky lately. We both have praised Gardner Minshew a lot this year, but even he's looked kind of off recently. So, I mean, the Chargers, for the most part, have a pretty decent defense. It's not terrible. It's definitely not as bad as Jacksonville. And I know winning by over a touchdown is probably a lot to ask for a guy, especially like Herbert making like his 4th or 5th career start. But coming off the bye, once again, I'm liking these teams off the bye, as you noticed, to get that extra prep time against a team like Jacksonville that is not very well coached, a young team as well. I feel like they'll find some weaknesses there and probably win this game very comfortably. I think they'll jump out to a big lead here. Jacksonville might figure it out in the second half, but I think that the Chargers will get out to a big enough lead to cover the spread, hopefully, for our sake. Next on to, I think this is Sunday Night Football, Tampa Bay at Las Vegas. Tampa Bay coming off that really nice win against Green Bay. Las Vegas, are they coming off a bye? I think they are, right? Because they beat the Chiefs 2 weeks ago, coming off a bye. So they're in a good spot as well. This would be another big win if they can get it. Tampa Bay on the road is a -4. We both agree on the Buccaneers here.
Yes, and Mike, I think you made a mistake. Did we skip San Fran versus New England? Did we talk about that game?
We might have forgot about it. We'll get back to it after
no,
this.
Yeah, yeah, okay, it's fine.
Good call.
Yeah, I am gonna go with Tampa Bay here. I mean, I get it. The Raiders, like you said, they're coming off of a bye, and they might have more to game plan against a Tampa Bay team like this. But what are you really game planning when you're watching film of them winning 38-10 against Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers? I mean, what is there really to go off of there except for, holy crap, this team's really good, we better play our butts off. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are legit. I've seen Colin Cowherd rank them as the #1 team in the entire NFL. Now, I know Colin Cowherd's had his moments where he just says some random stuff that absolutely no one agrees with. But this one isn't too far-fetched, in my opinion. I think Tampa Bay is like a top 3 team, top 2 team, especially when you see the Ravens in close games with the Philadelphia Eagles and stuff like that. I think you can put them up there, and rightly so. I mean, they're starting to get healthy now, and you're starting to see what we all thought we would see as soon as Tom Brady went to the Buccaneers. You're seeing this offense. And I think, not too sure, I don't know if Leonard Fournette's going to be back this week, but even if he's not, Ronald Jones has been fantastic. He's been incredible. I mean, he's been all that the Buccaneers have wanted so far for Bruce Arians, and I just feel really confident about this one. This is actually a favorite bet for me, which is surprising because I do like the Las Vegas Raiders a lot. I think they can pull a lot of wins out of their you-know-what, but I think Tampa Bay is just too much for them.
Yeah, look, I was one of those people that was very high on Tampa Bay in my preseason NFL video. I had them in the NFC Championship, and now I'm kind of mad I didn't put them in the Super Bowl because they look really damn good right now. I trusted their defense from day one. I thought that'd be a very great thing about them, and their defense has been really good so far, so I'm happy about that pick. And once again, I'll go with Tampa Bay here. I'm never a big Derek Carr guy. Now, I will say, when they have Henry Ruggs in their lineup, it just opens up a lot for that offense, and I will say it makes a big difference for them to finally stretch the field, which they have not had for the past few years. And they have that great Nelson Aguilar guy as well, so I can't forget about him. Okay. But, yeah, I mean, look, Josh Jacobs is a good running back. I get it. But Las Vegas has a lot of young corners, so I think Tom Brady, being the veteran he is, will probably find some type of weakness there. He'll find a way to get his guys involved, and I think Chris Godwin's finally due for a big game. I hope so for my team's sake, but even Mike Evans, you can't forget about him. Gronkowski's finally getting involved once again in the receiving game. So, and as you mentioned, Ronald Jones again. I mean, he's been playing well, and Tampa's defense, you can't forget about it. Jameel Dean had a pick 6, and a lot of guys are playing very well for this team, so they can get to the quarterback. I mean, the Raiders, for the most part, have a pretty good offensive line, but it'll be a good defensive line against a good offensive line. We'll see who wins that battle. That's pretty exciting to watch out for, but I trust Tom Brady a lot more than I trust Derek Carr. It's only 4 points. Now, I could see the Raiders winning this game coming off the bye, but at the same time, I like the Buccaneers a lot, so I'm going to pick them. Now we'll go back to that game with the San Francisco 49ers at the New England Patriots, a revenge game for Jimmy Garoppolo, I just realized. So New England is a minus 1.5. Yeah, you forgot about that, huh? So we forgot about the revenge games. But yes, Jimmy Garoppolo, can't forget about it. It shouldn't even be a revenge game because I think the Patriots did Garoppolo a great favor, sending him to a great situation rather than having him rot on the bench. But still, I think it's kind of a revenge game either way. It's the stupid narrative, so we're going to go with it. So anyway, New England minus 1.5. You like the Patriots. No, I like the Patriots. You like the Niners. Tell us why.
Yeah, I do like the Niners. I'm just wondering, if when the Colts play the Patriots, is it a Jacoby Brissett revenge game? Even if he's sitting on the bench?
Always.
Yeah, I guess so. And yeah, I mean, Bill Belichick wanted Jimmy Garoppolo to stay. We all know that. He would have rather traded Tom Brady, but we'll get into that another time. Maybe a podcast. Podcast. Whoa. All right. I'll keep going here. Yeah, I'm going to take the 49ers here with a little bit of confidence. I think Kyle Shanahan, honestly, I think he out-game plans Bill Belichick because I think he has more to work with. If I'm being completely honest, I think he has more to go off of. And on a confidence level for players, I mean, that's big. How do you walk out of, that game last week, Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots, and say to yourself, like, okay, we'll get him next week. Like you had probably the worst game in Bill Belichick's career to this point. I mean, that was horrible. And now it wasn't Bill Belichick's fault, obviously. You had Cam Newton coming back from COVID. He missed a lot of throws in that game. Couldn't really incorporate the running backs too much. But yeah, I'm going to go with San Francisco here just on a game planning standpoint. I think this is going to be a very close game, which is exactly why I think Vegas actually nailed this spread in 1.5 here. Because I do think it's a toss-up, but I am going to go with San Francisco. Again, not too much of an analytical argument here, but I like Kyle Shanahan game planning against a Bill Belichick team that's probably lost confidence over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, part of me wanted to pick the Niners for sure because I just feel like they're the better team right now. But I know a lot of people are going to bet on the Niners after what they saw last week. And look, I don't blame them for sure because Cam Newton, as you said, looked like crap. And I attribute that, some of it at least, to coming off the COVID I was going to say COVID injury, but that would not be right. The COVID absence, we'll call it. So, I mean, he's probably a bit rusty. I get it. So hopefully he looks a lot better this week because they need that in order to win a game like this. But the Niners, they're banged up. We know that once again. I mean, their running back Mostert is out. So, I mean, that's something to watch out for. I think they placed D Ford and Sherman on the IR. I think they're out until like week 11 now or something I saw. So, like, there's some more injuries right there. I think this is a good bounce back spot for the Patriots. I mean, they've been bad now. I mean, for at least a couple weeks. I mean, I think back to that Chiefs game. I know once again that Cam Newton was not there. And then last week, a game that they definitely should have won. So they definitely want that one back. So I don't have too much of an argument, but like I've been alive long enough to know the Patriots don't really lose games that badly back to back. So I think this is a good spot for them. I know it's not Tom Brady anymore, but Cam Newton cannot be that bad from what we saw on Sunday. Like he has to bounce back in some way, or else there might be a quarterback controversy as bad. Well, maybe not because their backups are terrible, but you know what I mean? Like Cam Newton has to answer the bell here, whatever you want to say. Like he has to do better here. So I think Cam Newton will be better in this spot. Am I 100% confident? No, but I think he will. So I will go with the Patriots there. Last game. Monday Night Football, I guess this is the Chicago Bears at the Los Angeles Rams. I think this is the first time all year you're not picking the Rams. You're very big on those Hard Knocks teams, but you're going to go with the Chicago Bears finally.
Yeah, I actually picked against actually, no, I didn't. Sorry, I got confused with Las Vegas. I forgot they were last year's Hard Knocks team. But, yeah, I did pick against Las Vegas too. But, yeah, I am going to pick against the Rams here. Here's where Analytic Andrew comes out to play. Usually right off the bat, you know, I look at this game and I say, all right, it's the Rams. I like the Rams. I'm going to pick the Rams. No. When you see a tweet like this, I don't know how you can pick the Rams. Jared Goff's numbers in 2 games against the Bears, he has a 50% completion percentage, 353 total passing yards, 0 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. That's a 44.5, I almost said Carson Wentz rating. It is a Carson Wentz rating.
Yeah.
That's a 44.5 passer rating. That's not good. And let's be honest, Nick Foles is good against the Rams. He's beaten them twice the last 2 times he's played them. Now he has been on a better Philadelphia Eagles team at the time, if you will, but he is just good against the Rams. He's hard to game plan against because he keeps his teams in games. And especially if the Rams are favorites here, I'm pretty confident in Chicago. Wasn't buying into the whole Chicago thing last week. They proved me wrong yet again against my Teddy Bridgewater. But yeah, I'm going to take the Chicago Bears here. Jared Goff, let's get a touchdown here, huh?
I like the Analytic Andrew thing. I mean, here's Analytic Mike for you, even though it's not even analytics. It's just a flat-out stat that the only teams the Rams have beat this year are the crappy NFC East teams. I think they've beaten every NFC East team. They haven't beaten anybody else. I forget who their losses are to. I think the Bills, and they lose last week, right? They lost to who last week? Oh, the Niners. So, like, you know, they play some real teams, and look what happens. In Chicago, I thought they were a fluke as well. I remember last week you were talking some crap about them, like, they're a fake 5-1 or 4-1 team, and I kind of agree with you. But honestly, like, they're kind of impressive. Like, they won that game at Carolina, a game that we thought Carolina was going to win. And I can't keep picking against Chicago. I have to change my narrative here and be like, okay, like, this is a team you have to respect. I still don't think they're that great, but defensively, they can get to Jared Goff. I think the Rams' offensive line has been better this year as compared to last year, obviously, but it still has its inconsistencies. So that's something to watch out for. The Rams, I mean, to be a -6 in this game seems like so much to me. Like, I don't know why it's that much. I figured maybe Rams -3, but like, I just don't really trust the Rams as much as other people, I feel like. And I know you've been on the Rams all year. You're finally coming around to the Chicago Bears, which is nice. And Nick Foles, while he's sometimes not great, but he's been, you know, sitting in there making some big time throws, and that's all you need. So sometimes all he needs to make is a couple throws. They're not asking him to do too much there. I think the Bears defense will be pretty good in this game. You never know with the Rams, though. So, I mean, they're one of those teams that I think is tough to predict, honestly, because the Rams have those outings with 35 points, and sometimes they struggle to get 14 points. So, like, you never know. But, you know, offensively, they've been good by the numbers, but sometimes they are inconsistent during the Sean McVay era. But I do like the Bears defense enough to go with the Bears in this game. So to close out here, as we always do, we'll go with the favorite bets. I think I remember you saying that the Bills were one of your favorite bets this week.
Yeah, you know, I'll go Bills, and just because it's Thursday Night Football, I'm going to pick the Eagles as my other favorite bet.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. So Bills -13.5, and then Eagles -4.5. I don't know who I'm going to pick. I haven't really gone through it yet. Let's see. I liked one of these teams coming off the bye. I mean, I want to say Seattle, but I'm not like too confident in that. I guess we'll go with Give me some help, Andrew. Who's some of the favorite ones that I liked before that I was talking about?
Tampa Bay, maybe
Maybe.
-4. Tampa Bay's a good line. You like, oh, jeez, I just had like a voice crack. You like Pittsburgh? I heard that. Cleveland. You like Cleveland? I know you like the Brownies.
Cleveland.
Kansas City.
Yes. All right, you know what? Screw it. Let's go with Seattle. We're going to go with Seattle. And then we're going to go with Tampa Bay. Seattle and Tampa Bay is who we're going to go with this week. Although the Raiders kind of scare me.
Oh, you were going to push it with the Brownies.
I would if Baker was completely healthy, but I just don't know. I feel like this guy's playing with cracked ribs or something, so I really have no idea. Like, until I see him play well again, I'm like, I don't know. I kind of want to stay away from that. But yeah, hopefully we get those right. I think we went. I forget what our records were on the favorite bets last week. I definitely went undefeated the week before, but last week I had the Packers and the Steelers. That's 1-1. You had the Rams and the Browns. That's probably 0-2, Andrew. Come on, like what are we doing here? Hopefully we bounce back in this, favorite pick stuff this week. But thank you as always, guys, for joining us. We'll talk to you for week 8. Let's go Giants. We'll beat the Eagles tomorrow, right?
No, absolutely not.
No. Okay.
Stop it.
Well, we'll
Stop
see.
it.
I mean, it'll be fun at least. Hopefully we get an entertaining game. And
is it tomorrow for them? Are you going to upload this tonight?
I'm gonna try. Yeah, I mean, I need to be up at 6 a.m., but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to do this thing. All right, but anyway, yes.
If you've gotten this far in the video, put your score predictions down there. I'm interested. I want to know who you got. Giants, Eagles. It's probably going to be Giants, but let me know.
Yes, that would be nice. Okay, we'll talk to you guys next week, and thank you for watching.